also, the letter that we sent about 2 weeks ago had draft legislation was one paragraph and essentially doesn't get into a repeal of clean heat. Essentially says that PUC no longer has to do any of the registration or advisory groups for the DPA. That's it. Like until you folks do something on clean heat. So in other words, it just recognizes that there's a pause in clean heat at the moment, and it's saying PUC, you don't have to do things that don't necessarily make sense. To me, the DDA clearly doesn't make sense, and I'm struggling to understand what additional data is useful that we should be collecting through the registration process. Because it's not just us and our costs, it's also the fuel dealers as well. Just generally, personally, I don't think collecting data just for the sake of data is useful unless it's clear what we're going to use it for. The data was necessary. Like here, it seems like, what's the point of collecting data if we're not going to use it? To me, that's really significant because it's a burden on everybody to collect that data. So if there's a clear use for it, that's one thing. If it's just because it happened to be in a bill 2 years ago and we want to stick with it, that to me doesn't make any sense. The other.
What if we want the data, but it's no longer tied necessarily to the construct of Act 18, but is helpful to have in order to understand the industry better and understand how much fuel is being imported into Vermont and
but in order to have good information, you all are going to have to figure out how to fund us to actually provide somebody who can then track it and say, and be calling up people of like, hey, it looks like you did this, and then following up with potential litigation, potential fines. It's a lot of work to sort of create this from the ground up. I'm open to us doing it. However, we need the funding to actually do it. And also we need direction as to what information you're looking for and why. I strongly caution just because we tried to do the import data, we should continue that. I don't see the usefulness of that at all.